Hey everybody, welcome back to Drafty Toons, the Drafty Quarters production, animation, anime, all things animated podcast. This episode we are talking about Love, Death, and Robots. Since there are several episodes to cover, we decided to break this up into 3 parts, this episode being part 1. With me today we have...
Oh, you aren't going to say my name?
I was going to let you say your own name.
Oh, I'm Shane.
And
that was Shane. I am Barry.
We were purposely fucking up your podcast, Corey.
yeah. I wish I could say I'm surprised.
Oh.
It's not even Wednesday, guys.
I
Actually, it is Wednesday.
Yeah. Like what? Okay.
We're off to a great start.
Fantastic.
But yeah, we're going to break the episodes up. This will be part 1, and we'll go through each episode individually. We're going to watch the episode and then immediately talk about it, and then we'll go in and watch the next episode, and so on and so forth. We'll be doing 6 episodes with you guys.
Okay.
And then, because there's 18 episodes total, so then I have it divided up to 3 groups of 6. And I have custom chose the specific episodes that we will be watching for the people I brought on as guests.
Okay.
So I hope you guys will like these, although you seem dead set on hating them already.
Yeah.
Just to piss you off.
Yeah, not surprised. Especially now that I realize it's Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fuck with Corey Day.
Every Wednesday. So I think with that being said, I think we're ready to get started.
All right.
3 robots.
All right, so that was Love, Death, and Robots. Episode 3 Robots.
Yes.
What did you guys think of it? First impressions?
Go ahead, Barry.
Was the X-Bot supposed to look like Grievous? Am I making that shit up?
I mean, a little bit, I guess, but I don't know that that was intentional.
I don't know. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, that was all I had.
That was his one thought about
That
that.
was his one first impression about the whole episode.
That was my first impression.
Xbot 4000 looks like Grievous.
Yeah, he popped up, and I was like, "Is that Grievous?"
No.
That was my first impression.
No, that's our Xboxes in like 100 years or whatever. Well, I mean, however long it takes to come out with 3,997 more iterations.
At this rate, that's about 10 years.
No. We'll only be on like Xbox 5 in 10 years. I thought it was funny. I think the kind of environmentalist message was a little heavy-handed right there.
A little bit.
I
I actually appreciated it, that it wasn't a post-apocalyptic set because humanity wiped itself out because of nukes. I feel like that's the obvious answer for most post-apocalyptic scenarios.
mean,
Yeah.
it's the most common, yeah.
Yeah, and I appreciated it that they set it up like that was what it was going to be,
Right.
but then ultimately they're like, nah, they just wiped themselves out because they didn't fix their shit in time.
Yeah. Which, I mean, that's the most likely to actually happen now anyway. I don't know. I just don't like heavy-handed shit like that. I liked the cats being like being able to speak and having opposable thumbs thing being the twist at the end. That was funny.
Yeah, so the reasons I like this episode are, one, it just looks fantastic.
Oh yeah, it's pretty.
It's very well animated.
Yeah, like the first 3 seconds, I was like, "Is this the one that's actually live action?"
Yeah. You'll do that a lot if you watch the rest of these.
Yeah.
There's several of them that at various moments I had to sit and question whether or not it was live action. But there's only one episode in the entire anthology that is actually live action.
Huh.
But yeah, I really like that it was so for me this was the second episode, I believe, when I was watching it. And it's a nice episode that really kind of breaks up the serious tone of a lot of the other episodes.
Okay.
So starting out, it might kind of interrupt that flow, but there is also other episodes that are not quite as serious.
Okay.
There's a lot of back and forth throughout the whole anthology between the serious tones and the more humorous. Some of them combine the two,
Yeah,
and mix it very well.
because that kind of felt almost like the old animation that we used to get from like Mondo and stuff like that, as far as like what it was about and the tone of it and stuff, like how it was just kind of like weird humor and stuff like that. There was Mondo, and then there was like some stuff that was on what was that fucking Newgrounds? Like some of the really old like just internet
flash animation,
like flash animation shit. As far as like the humor and stuff, it also kind of, since it was robots, it kind of reminded me of Borderlands
a little bit,
with like Claptrap, but also the style of humor that's in Borderlands.
Very sarcastic.
Yeah. And then I didn't understand why they were like questioning humans consuming organic matter to produce energy, when then they immediately interacted with a cat who does the same thing afterwards and weren't like, oh, this is, similar idea. It's kind of weird.
They seem to have very limited information on the cat also. Like,
Yeah, they didn't know anything about
I
the
don't
cat.
know. It was weird.
I don't know that they had seen it eat yet. And the little guy was like, I really don't know anything about these.
Right. But I thought it was funny, and it was very well animated.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's one of the reasons I like it, because it's very humorous,
Yeah.
and I really love humor myself.
Right.
It looks great. I also really like the take of post-apocalyptic. I like post-apocalyptic stuff anyway.
Yes.
And I thought this was a pretty interesting take on that.
Right.
And I also like, and this is more of a common theme throughout the whole anthology series, I really like how much world building and story that they can cram in a matter of like 17 minutes.
Right.
Like the longest episode of these is like 17 or 18 minutes, but there's a lot of them that are like 12, 15 minutes.
Right.
And just the amount of story that they can cram into
Right.
all that without it feeling like you're drowning in story at the same time.
And there was also like a lot of world building through the setting and the background and stuff that they did. And we talked about this in the last DQP Does that we did, but I don't know what order shit's going to come out in. So
Sure.
But it's something that like cinema used to do a lot previously, and they kind of do it more now, but more in like an Easter egg way, where your characters are talking about whatever the show is actually about, but then like the background or the foreground is something that clues you into as to what happened where they are, or what the place they're in is about, or something about the world they're in and how it's different from ours, or makes it feel like if they're in a shopping place, it shows like different races or whatever, if it's like alien stuff or shit like that, and it kind of like clues you into the setting without somebody just being like, in 2249 the world ended and they're in New York City and shit like that. You don't need to know all that stuff, because you figure it out as you go.
It's just
right
there.
Right.
Yeah, I really like that kind of stuff too.
Yeah, it's fucking fantastic, and I think it was really well done in this, and it also kind of like made the humor like darker, even though like some of it was kind of silly, because like they're making silly jokes and shit, and there's like a dead cheerleader and a fucking basketball player that hung himself in the gym.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, smile, and like all this shit, and it's like, that's fucked up. I mean, they're robots, so they don't understand that that's fucked up, but it's fucked up.
Yeah. Which that's another thing, I guess, for our listeners that maybe haven't seen this anthology yet. This whole series is very adult.
Yeah.
and very mature. There's only maybe a couple of episodes that I would even venture to show to a child.
Yeah.
Like, most of these are very mature themed, even if they're not dark or gory. Like, the humor in this one alone makes it very mature.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
there's a lot
there's
of
like
mature wording.
Yeah, there's a lot of swearing and stuff in it, and talking about the end of humanity and teabagging and etc. So they're like mature themes and just like mature like things that you don't want your little kids to hear and shit.
Yeah. So I guess, what'd you guys think of the overall commentary on the human life that they had going?
I liked how like the whole episode was just like silly. Like, it had the dark undertones, like, all the dead people. And then they were like, yeah, humans just like killed themselves off because they were dumb. And I felt like it got like real serious for a second.
Mm-hmm.
And then the cat was like, oh, hey, yeah, I could talk. And then it just got like way silly again.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like the whole thing about them like not understanding any of it and oversimplifying all the different parts of human life that are kind of like some of the stuff that people enjoy, or maybe some people might think of it the same way that the robots do. It's like, why the fuck do you do that? Because I know a lot of people are like that with sports, because that was one of the things. They went into the gym, they saw the basketball, and they're like, what do you do with a ball? And they're like, well, they bounce it. It's like, is that it? Yeah. Well, what the fuck's the point of that?
Right.
And I've heard people say shit like that about sports. So I understand it. But like, so that gives some people purpose and joy and stuff. And that's something that they don't understand, which is interesting. And the same thing with the diner. Like, I like to fucking eat. I'm a fat boy. I like a burger.
Right.
I enjoy that I have to stuff, organic material into my
Orifice.
face orifice to produce energy. I like the taste of fucking food, okay? And, I mean, a lot of people do. And they didn't understand that. They didn't get that. It was like, well, I have everything I need inside me with a fusion battery. It's just interesting seeing like the complete and utter utilitarian view on things that people did.
Yeah.
And then like making fun of it.
Yeah, I think there's actually a webcomic that's rising in popularity now.
Oh, yeah.
Where it has aliens like
Oh,
talking in like super simplified versions of like them trying to imitate human life.
Right.
And I just love it, and I think it's great, and I think this hits that same kind of niche in that it just like it's the robots talking about human life as if they have no idea what it is.
Yeah. The one with the Valentine card like kind of sums it up. Is like the one shows the other one like a picture with a heart with an arrow through it, and it's like, look, I have drawn a vital organ that has been injured. And the other alien's like, critically. And he's like, this has meaning for my like feelings about you. And the other one says, it's so meaningful. Yeah.
I love them.
Yeah.
They're so good. I'm also so one of the other points in this episode that like really draws me towards it is that it has cats, and I'm a huge cat person.
Yeah.
I fucking love cats, and I love the twist at the end where the cat's like, yeah, we took over the world.
Right.
Because that's totally a fucking cat thing.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
as somebody that owns cats, it's like, if he could get rid of me, he absolutely would.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and like the only reason they have you around is to pet them. And I mean, that's basically all they care about. It's like,
Pet me and feed me.
Yeah, pet me, feed me, and it's raining, let me in.
Yep.
If you keep them outside, or if they ever
Maybe
go
clean my
outside.
shit box.
Yeah, clean my shit box, or I will shit on your pillow.
Yeah.
Because I know you put your head there, so here you go. But yeah, like I thought that was funny. One of the funnier parts, and also the only voice actor that I recognize. I'm pretty sure it was Chris Parnell. I thought it was interesting that the robots were so drastically different, and then they didn't really like explain where they were from or why they were still
from each
around.
other.
Yeah, different from each other, because you had like a humanoid robot that was like tall and lanky, like a 6 foot skinny human person.
Yeah.
And then you had like a little like kind of chibi robot.
Uh-huh.
And then you had like a fucking Star Wars
droid
like
database on wheels kind of thing.
With like some appendages kind of like R2D2 and stuff like that, but it was more like pyramid shaped, almost more like 2001 Space Odyssey
With Hal?
Yeah, kind of like that. Looked similar. Had like the red eye and stuff.
one eye.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and the only really insight you get into that is the tall one is probably a descendant of a gaming console, and the little red one is a descendant of baby monitors.
Yeah,
which makes sense why it's kind of cute and more rounded.
Right.
Because it was a descendant, and then the other one probably was some kind of entertainment robot or whatever at some point.
Office, like it was like super dry. It had more of the robotic voice and stuff. So, or the third one.
I was thinking the first one that got introduced, the X-Bot.
Yeah,
it
was like entertainment of some kind. Yeah,
I got kind of a sports vibe from it.
Yeah, like almost like it should have known how to play basketball.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought he was going to start dribbling and then like shoot a basket. And
I also
and then
really
he just
liked
dropped it.
that huge lead up to where he like brings it up over his head and he's like gonna slam it down, but then he stops and then just drops it.
Yeah,
I love the mislead there.
Yeah, that was good. Made me laugh.
Yeah, I don't know. Like the episode was interesting and it was pretty funny, well animated, but I don't know. It was just kind of weird to me. It didn't have
a little too heavy-handed.
No, well, I mean there was that. It kind of weirded me out at the end, but like I don't know. It didn't seem to have like that much of a point, other than the heavy-handed message, I guess.
That's fair. You might have that same complaint about several of these.
Okay.
Most of them, they don't have like some bigger philosophical meaning. They're purely there to entertain.
Well, I just more like want a story arc or something, because it was just kind of them wandering around and talking.
Okay, some of them do have more of a story.
Okay.
Characters go from A to B kind of stuff.
Right.
This one is a little bit more meandering.
Yeah. Okay.
A couple quick points I did like in the episode. There was the whole commentary on like religion and stuff. I thought was interesting.
That was funny.
How they like bring it up like this is their creator and made him out of dust, and they're like, just kidding.
Yeah.
And I as an atheist, I thought that joke was kind of funny.
They came from warm soup. Yeah, I'm sure that's why we all think it was funny, and I'm sure somebody that was like a hardcore Christian would be super offended by that.
Yeah, I'm also pretty positive of that.
Yeah.
And then I also liked there's this one scene in it where they like the camera has a slow pan over the corpse of this soldier with his gun, and there's like flowers and moss growing out, and then it has a flower growing out the end of the barrel.
Yeah, I really like that too.
I don't know what it is about that, but just something about that just really kind of spoke to me, and I really like that. It always stands out to me every time I see it.
I mean, it's like a iconic image of the there were people that were protesting, I think it was the Vietnam War, and there was a girl that put a flower from her hair or whatever into the barrel of the gun, because there were like Coast Guard or whatever that were like trying to stop the protest because it was going to become a riot, and she just like put her flower in the barrel of the gun, and I don't know what happened. It's just an iconic image.
It's like the make peace not war kind of thing.
Yeah.
And like I feel like they were kind of saying like that we as humans aren't capable of that until we're all dead.
Yeah, I mean that's probably accurate. The problem with society in any form, any kind of utopian thing, is that humans exist.
Yeah.
And greed and sloth and all that good stuff exists with us. So somebody's going to want to be above everyone else, and somebody's going to want to sit on their ass and not do anything. And that's that's what happens.
Yeah.
And somebody else gets pissed off about it.
So one of the things we typically do on the show is we typically try to rate whatever it is we're watching.
Yeah.
I don't think we want to do that on an episode basis. I think I might wait, and then at the end we'll do kind of a summary of what you guys thought of the grouping of episodes.
Okay.
Just because it's not really fair to take each episode on its own, I feel. Although you certainly could do that.
Yeah.
And some episodes clearly outshine others. But just kind of keep in mind as we're going through how you might raise or lower your score for at least the selection that you guys will be seeing.
Right. Okay.
Just so we can kind of get an overall of what you think for the series.
Yep.
And just kind of clue the audience in as to why we're not necessarily going through and assigning numbers to each individual episode.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think with that all being said, we're ready to move on to the next episode.
The Secret War.
All right. So that was our next episode, Secret War. Now, before we get into discussing, I have one question, specifically at Barry. What did you think?
Garbage.
Yeah, I knew it.
Hot garbage.
Hot secret garbage.
This is the one episode, like, when I was watching this, I was like, Barry would love this.
I was actually super into it. It really, I mean, Russians are cool, I guess, but that wasn't really.
Yeah.
Well, that was
what
like
did it.
part of the reason, I'll admit.
Okay,
the
Barry.
Russians were part of it, but like the rest of it was what really sold me, because like Barry would really like this.
Online co-op.
Absolutely.
Yep. Okay. Because I want to play this game.
That's what I said before when we first sat down, before
Okay.
we started
Yeah.
recording.
Before I came over.
It's
I
want
want to play this game.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
Holy
This
shit.
thing looks so amazing. It looks like a AAA title
Yeah.
that I want to play.
Yeah. No, like fucking. It's like fucking. I don't even. It's Wolfenstein and Gears of War but in Russia, in the forest,
Meets Call of Duty.
with some Call of Duty, like World at War in there. Just like, holy shit, I want to play that game. Oh my god.
And then they could drop some DLC where you like go to different parts of the planet and like play as different armies.
Yeah.
But it's like the same situation. It's just like
Yeah, so like the American one, you're in like a city that has like subways and shit, and then in the Russian one, you're in the forest with the barrows and like, yeah, no, fucking yes.
yes.
So the other genre I really like, aside from post-apocalyptic, is World War II stuff.
Yeah.
I love Saving Private Ryan, Enemy at the Gates, all those like super serious World War II stuff.
So Cory is the one that they make literally every video game for.
yeah.
Well, admittedly, that genre got played out in video games.
Oh yeah.
But like
10 years ago, and
I'm
then-
ready for a comeback,
Yeah.
especially if it's anything like that.
Oh god, dude, if they make that game, somebody make that game, please God. Like, it doesn't even have to look that amazing. If it does, then you deserve a stroke job. But
I'm absolutely buying the Ultimate Golden Deluxe Digital Plus version of that.
yeah, with the
Probably
the,
twice.
the
Edition.
sculpture of the ghoul and stuff. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yep, 100% buying it. I'd also go watch that if they made it into a full length movie. Like,
That too.
that was really good. See, and that's more like what I was thinking, like as far as like a story arc, because that had a story, and it still had the world building stuff that we were talking
Yep.
about in the last about the last episode in Three Robots. Maybe not as much, but they were more focused on the story. But like, they didn't tell us that it was World War II. We knew that
Other than a
because
throwaway line where it talks about the Germans invading
Stalingrad. But their outfits, the guns, like,
That's the only thing that like really confirmed that it was World War II, though.
yeah.
And
all
I
that
also like you get a little bit of context from the title being called The Secret War,
yeah,
and that this is probably in their universe a thing that actually happened. This is something like it really ties into. You hear a lot about the Nazis, really
right,
getting
going
into
after the occult stuff.
Yeah, but
And
this
that's
is
why I
like-
brought up Wolfenstein,
Yeah, exactly.
because that's what Wolfenstein has always been about. But
Or even
as-
Indiana Jones,
Yeah.
or any of that stuff.
yeah,
And I thought it was interesting that it's like, oh, hey, maybe they weren't the only country that was into that kind of stuff.
I'm so fucking into that whole thing. Like, that's my shit right there. Like the occult stuff and like the crazy like monsters and guns and shooting shit, and like also having like some interesting like moments, like the kid that was like bad at being a soldier and like fucked up because he played the music when they were trying to be quiet and all that stuff. It was his fucking son.
I really
the lieutenant's son.
that this is the rookie, and he's the rookie throughout the whole episode until the very end.
Yeah.
They reveal that, oh, it's also the leader guy's son.
Yeah.
And I love that it's this whole like father-son dynamic that if you on rewatching it, you can kind of see like, okay, there it is a little bit.
Yeah.
But he doesn't like give him preferential treatment.
Right.
He's still one of the troops.
Yeah, but like that now knowing that after watching through it, when they go through the first attack that they do, and the guy that he's watching his 6 dies because he's reloading, and he gets like knocked over against the tree and almost dies, and then the lieutenant like comes and picks him up, but he gives him that look like, God damn it,
yeah,
you fucked up.
And you think it's just because he's the rookie,
right?
Yeah.
But it's because it's his fucking son. Yeah, no, I think this one was really good. This one far outshines the other one so far for me.
Yeah, this was one of my favorite episodes.
I really, really wanted to hate it the whole time, and I was like, God damn it, Cory. Fucking got me.
I think he got you more because it was fucking awesome than he has you pegged or anything.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fair too.
Like, I don't know, like the freaky demon weird shit going on. I don't know. I'm super into that.
So what'd you think of... So for me, watching it for the first time, there was a big mislead because I didn't know this episode was going to turn sci-fi.
Oh.
I thought it was like, okay, well, this is interesting. What is this? Where are they? And then I'm slowly piecing together information as the episode's going on. It's like, okay, they look like they're like World War I, World War II. They're Russian. I can figure that much out off the bat. And then they mentioned the Germans at Stalingrad, and I'm like, okay, so this is World War II.
I was expecting like some radioactive super soldier.
Yeah.
Like mutated, because there was like claw marks in the
yeah,
trees.
and
but it was like
first
glowing.
Real
so
scene, they show the village.
Oh, yeah, the village.
Before you even see the ghouls,
yeah.
it's just the village torn to shreds with women, children, men, just murdered mercilessly.
That's where I figured out that it was supernatural in the least. Like, I was thinking maybe it was like werewolves or something like that.
Yeah.
That they were just like a detachment that was sent to take care of something that happened.
I kind of thought maybe, but then also like there was a lot of fucked up shit that happened during World War II.
Yeah, but okay, they show the way that the whole town was, and then there's one specific corpse that they show that they spend a little like a lingering shot on, and it's when they go into the one house and there's the lady sitting at the dinner table, and her fucking spine's ripped out.
Yeah.
Like, I knew that was like some kind of crazy monster did that.
Something.
I didn't know what, but I thought it was going to be like werewolves or something. Werewolves or, God damn it. What's in Fallout 4, what's the thing? Wendigos.
Yeah.
Wendigos. Yep.
Yeah. I thought it would be a Wendigo or werewolves, but it was... The way they talk about it, it's almost like demons.
Which...
But they call them ghouls.
They call them ghouls. I didn't catch that till this watching specifically, and it's only because we had subtitles on.
Yeah.
That's a Russell thing.
Yeah, like they like summoned them with some weird ritual thing.
Yeah,
so
I just thought they're
demons.
Yeah.
But,
demon or fiend kind of
I don't know.
stuff. Which, another thing, this is also the first bit of nudity we've had, at least in this
Fuck
watching.
yeah, titties.
She
was dead.
Lot,
but...
Yeah, there's a lot of nudity throughout the whole anthology. Mostly boobs, but I will warn you, there is some frontal nudity from both sexes. But yeah, it was incredibly gory, and the whole episode all the way through was just crazy gory.
Oh yeah,
very mature.
I really liked it. I liked the like last stand scene. That was really good.
Yes, I love the last stand moments, and I love that they didn't survive.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
they had character development in The Last Stand.
Yeah.
Like, you already, like, had a little bit of, like, the big guy
Is a
and
badass.
the lieutenant and, like, a couple of the other guys. And, like, there was the one guy that was the coward and, like, all
He
that shit.
shot himself.
Yeah, and he shot himself.
It's like, and it's crazy because they really covered the full spectrum of like war in general,
Right.
but also war against an insurmountable force.
Right.
You know, this supernatural sci-fi beast that will show you no mercy,
Right.
and you're going to lose. And it showed, the full spectrum of human emotion in that one last
was dope.
stand. You saw the guy that shot himself because he was terrified, justifiably so.
Right.
Yeah.
And you also saw the other guy that ran out of ammo and literally started using a shovel as a weapon.
Fuck yeah, he did.
He gets his fucking arm chopped off.
Earlier in the episode, you see him sharpening the shovel,
Yeah, I caught that too.
which was cool. I
didn't catch it on the first watching, but after watching it a few times through, I caught that. It's like he was fully on ready to use that shovel.
Was that a common thing, like having your shovel sharpened, ready to be used as a weapon? Because I just like
That's a thing, yeah.
maybe like last week I was watching a video where somebody was throwing a shovel like an axe.
Yeah, no, trench shovels, I think since World War I at least, were used as weapons.
Which totally makes sense to me because like you're carrying this thing into combat anyway.
Yeah.
Like why wouldn't you
Multiple
just have it
uses.
ready to be a weapon if you needed it to?
Yep.
Yeah, and I love that whole scene. Ultimately ending with the lieutenant general guy just blowing everybody up.
Yeah, and I thought it was interesting that they didn't show a lot of the like payoff scenes. So like you didn't actually see him blow the cliff up. You just saw
you don't
him,
know really if it
you
works
just-
or not.
Yeah, you just saw him twist the detonator, and then when the planes come, you see like a half a second of bombs going off, and then it shuts, and then that's the end of the episode.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting. I mean, I liked it.
I also like that. I like that it didn't show the big detonation of him blowing up the cliffside, but then it cuts to black and then kind of fades in with the, okay, here's the rubble of the cliff. So it worked.
Yeah.
And then it shows the planes flying overhead. It's like, oh, the rookie, the son, he made it.
Yeah.
So you got payoff, but it wasn't in a way that was obvious or expected. And I like that.
Yeah. It was good though. It was real good. I liked that one a lot.
Yeah.
I also really appreciated how all of the characters just accepted the reality that they were in. They didn't take any time to question really what these things were.
Yeah, they were
why
already
were
in the
there.
thick of it.
They were just like, this is our mission.
Right.
This is what we have to do. And they kind of like, well, should we go back? They're like, nope. If we go back, they're going to kill us for going back.
Yep.
Which was a very like Russian World War II thing. Like they
Yeah.
cover that in Enemy at the Gates where they like hand every other man a gun and they're like, if you run back here, we're shooting anybody running this direction.
Right.
And it's just like, it's crazy at the, like if we go back and try to expose all this stuff, they're going to kill us for bringing it up.
Right.
We need to do our job, take care of business, and then that's that.
Yeah, if we die, we die, and that's, we'll be remembered by somebody
We serve
for
the
doing
motherland.
for doing what we did. Yep.
I
Yeah,
like
I just-
right before they sent off the dude's son, or like right after, and they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna die here. It's been an honor," and then they were all like fucking pumped.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we're gonna kill as many as we can before we die. It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking classic, like
300.
warrior shit.
Yeah.
I love that. Anytime I've seen that, I've really liked it.
Yeah.
I
Have you
really
seen
liked-
13th Warrior?
Oh, yeah. Do they cover that same kind of mechanic?
Oh, you need to watch that.
I have to watch it too. But yeah, I got a lot of like 300 vibes. Like, they're like really pumped up and ready to just fuck shit up. But at the same time, they're like, this is where we die.
Yeah.
But at least we're going to go out with a bang.
I think that might be in my top 5 movies, Russell. Producer Man.
13th Warrior.
Yeah. I know. It's okay.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out.
I'll just talk at you.
We're all gonna talk at you.
But all in all, I thought it was one of the better episodes, probably top 5 in the whole series.
And there's 18.
18. I'll admit, not all of them are winners, but this was probably top 5 for me.
Okay, so the rest of the ones we're watching are also in the top 5 except for one?
No. No, I spread out the good ones.
I don't like you anymore.
I'm sorry.
I want them to all be this good.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all kind of good.
You should have saved this one for last.
I
Like
really,
the best one for last.
I really thought that I liked the first one a whole lot, and then we saw this one.
So you did like the first one.
Yeah, it was good.
Okay.
I was kind of mad on the first one, but
Yeah.
this one I'm
Really
hard.
excited on. Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if everybody said their piece on this one, I think we're ready to go into the next one.
Yeah, I mean, I really, like, anyone that makes video games that could ever possibly listen to this, make this fucking game, please.
Please.
It's so fucking good.
I don't care if it's in 10 years. Just make it. And I'll be like, oh my God, it's that fucking game.
The dump.
All right. That was The Dump that we just watched, which admittedly is not one of my favorites. It's not the worst.
Okay.
By far. I think the main reason I don't like this episode is purely the animation style. I'll admit that it looks really good.
Yeah.
And it's a very well done animation.
Yeah, you're just not a fan of the style.
I'm not a fan of the stylization of the characters.
Yeah.
To me, they're just too ugly. All the characters are very ugly.
Well, I mean, there's 3 characters, so.
Well,
But I
4.
get it. I understand your dislike of it, but I kind of like it for that reason, that not that they're ugly, but because it's stylized.
Mhm.
Like, I like things that are stylized because it doesn't have to be hyper realistic to look good.
Yeah.
Which is fair. That's definitely a fair criticism. I just, I really like stuff to look in how I think they should look.
Right.
And this looks too Uncanny Valley, and to me, they're just ugly characters.
Yeah.
Which is done very intentionally that way.
Oh, yeah.
But it's the same, like, I didn't like Big Head for the same reason, because I thought the characters looked ugly. Which that's a completely different tangent, completely different show.
Right.
But it's a common theme I've ran into where a lot of animation that's probably really good, I just won't even give it a chance because I just don't
You don't
care
like
for
the art style. Yep. I understand that. There's definitely stuff where I'm the same way. But I kind of like the stylized art style of this. And, like, the objects and things were, like, hyper realistic.
Yeah.
So that was interesting to mix the stylized, like, characters with the hyper realistic, like, trash and guns and paper and cigarettes, everything.
Were the guns?
I don't know that his
shotgun wasn't that hyper realistic in the sense that he shot 3 times out of a double barrel and then tried to reload it, but whatever. So
I heard your groan when we were watching it.
I literally threw my notebook because I don't know, that's a pet peeve. I don't know, I guess I'm a gun guy. That's weird. But
I also noticed it listening to one of our other podcasts, Ant-Man,
where
they add the hammer on the Glock.
Yep. No, I fucking tore that movie apart over that shit. But yeah, I mean, I notice that all the time. Like, if you've ever seen Army of Darkness, but that movie, I think they do it on purpose because it's funny. He shoots like 17 times with a double barrel shotgun and never reloads it, and then they make a point of having the scene right after that where he's like reloading as the deadite is like coming at him. So, I mean, I like it when it's done on purpose, and it's obviously on purpose, but I mean, I don't think it was in this, but
No.
whatever.
I also noticed in general that that's kind of used as a trope. Like, they don't need to reload until it's convenient for the plot.
Right.
Which is always cracks me up.
Yeah, all right. I thought this was really funny.
Yeah, I enjoyed the whole thing.
I enjoyed it. It also had like kind of a story to it. And I think that's really why I didn't care for the first one that much, Three Robots.
Yeah.
Was that it just like didn't feel like it had an overarching story to connect the whole thing together. It was just kind of like, hey, there's these three robots and they're walking through.
It's more of a commentary.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the whole thing was just like, stop being a terrible human and recycle or something.
Yeah, exactly. But this one was just kind of like, here's the story about a guy who's going to get evicted, but his dog, in quotes, is actually a fucking garbage monster, and it kills the guy that came to evict him. Hilarious.
Yeah, I really appreciated the asshole karma.
Oh, yeah, because that dude was a prick.
huge tool.
Like, just right off the bat, when he walked through the gate and left it open, I was like, what a fucking asshole.
Yeah, me and Barry
Which
both
is crazy.
exclaimed.
That's the moment when you're like, this guy's an asshole, because he's like on the phone talking about like fucking a bunch of kids, like these asshole kids, and fuck those kids, and he steps on a possum and like just fucking
I've done all
it.
those things, and I don't feel like I'm that big a prick. I've talked shit about children because, you know, sometimes children are fucking annoying.
I mean, that's fair.
You know, his whatever his context might have been different, you know. He
little
did
bit.
also call them fucktards, which is pretty intense. Like that's pretty bad. So yeah, he was definitely being a prick before that, but like me and Barry were both like, "What the fuck? You left his gate open? It says watch out for dog, you son of a bitch." You know?
And then he gets his comeuppance.
Oh yeah.
Maybe it's because like I really like this episode, but I feel like it might be because I'm a dog person.
That might be.
That might have also been a huge part of why I was so upset about him leaving the gate open.
I'm just like that person that closes the door and stuff like that. I don't particularly care for animals in general, but like if they're other people's, like, you know, I'm nice to them and stuff. But I just like walking into somebody's house and just leaving the door wide open. You have no idea what they have going on, or like, you know, if they have the air on or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that wasn't his house, but it was the gate to his property, and he has a gate for a fucking reason.
Yeah.
You close the gate.
It's just completely inconsiderate.
Yeah, it's just completely inconsiderate. Just like the lighter thing. Dude's sitting there struggling with his piece of shit lighter that he found in the garbage because, you know, everything he has is from the dump that is his home. And the dude like pulls out a brand new cigarette that isn't bent or anything like the old guys, Dvorak or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And pulls out this shiny, like, fancy, it's not even a fucking Zippo, it's like one of the slide button like butane lighters, and lights his cigarette, and then like looking him dead in the
Very
eye, like,
deliberately
puts it back in his pocket, and he's just like, fuck you and your cigarette and your story. Get the fuck out of here so I can go evict some other poor asshole. Like, that dude was a prick, and he deserved to get eaten slowly by Otto.
The one thing that I didn't like about it was so obvious that the monster creeping around killing that guy was going to be Otto.
Was going to be his pet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After a certain point, it does become very obvious. Like,
Well,
as soon as the monster shows up, you're like, oh, okay.
Even at the beginning, before they showed that it was going to be a monster, I just thought it was going to be a big fucking crazy dog.
Yeah.
And the same thing was going to happen. Because as soon as, like, he's starting to talk to the city inspector, and he's like, Otto, where you at, Otto? Come here. And,
the real twist is that it's a monster and not a dog.
Right.
Like, were you expecting it to be like fucking Cujo?
Yeah, just like a big ass like rot or something, and like come up and rip the dude's throat out, and then he was gonna throw him in a pile of garbage,
which
or
I
in
also
the back
feel
in the trunk of a car or whatever.
That's pretty typical for most dumps for whatever reason. Dumps
Rots
always
and bodies.
need protected by these big gnarly dogs, which I don't really understand why.
Yeah.
Like, who's gonna go steal stuff from a dump? But
You would be surprised. I mean, and like especially like in movies and stuff, it's usually not necessarily, and in this too, it's not necessarily like a purely garbage dump. There's a lot of like scrap and stuff. So there's also like the possibility of like people going there to salvage or to steal it to sell it to another salvage yard, because that's a thing. Like, I know people that own scrap yards, And, you know, they had problems with people dumping and people coming and stealing shit.
Yeah, a real life circumstance of that for me was I used to do designs for cell phone tower locations.
Oh, yeah.
And all of those have really tall barbed wire fences around them.
Yep.
To keep people out because people are dumb and they think it's okay to just go cut all this copper wire.
Yeah.
Which is like 6 inches thick.
Yeah.
In diameter. And they're like, yeah, I'm going to get all that copper, not realizing, you know, the massive amounts of electricity flowing through.
Yeah, right.
And it's just like people are idiots, but they're like, hey, money, copper.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's happened all around town, too. I mean, especially when I first moved here, there was like a lot of, it was kind of down during the economic downturn, and there were a lot of like condemned like former factories and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And there were people that were going in there and getting hurt trying to salvage copper and like piping and just about anything that was worth selling.
Yeah.
Any scrap metal. And like there were people stealing fucking air conditioners out of people's windows and shit, selling the aluminum. It was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. But I mean, that's a thing. So that I think that's why it's always shown that like garbage or like dumps and scrap yards and stuff always have like guard dogs. Yeah.
I guess it makes more sense when you put it in that context. So what'd you guys think about our equal opportunity nudity?
Those were some saggy balls. I mean,
Like, why couldn't he pull up his pants, though?
because he was drunk.
Like, he almost did a bunch of times.
Yeah.
Have you ever gotten like freaked out while you were like hammered ass drunk and trying to take a piss and like couldn't get your pants back up?
I don't, not that I can remember.
I have.
Also, they had to have equal opportunity nudity.
Yeah. I've also fallen off the toilet while drunk and like couldn't pull my pants up. So, I mean, I get it. He was a little bit more coherent than I was at that time. But
I don't know that we see it in any of our episodes, but there is definitely like full frontal female nudity in some of the later episodes too.
But you didn't put it in any of ours?
I don't believe I did.
Rude.
I think the closest we got was the Secret War with the dead lady all strung up.
Yeah, thanks for that.
I think I specifically, so those episodes are a little bit more female oriented, a little bit more girl power driven, and I wanted a female perspective on those.
Okay, I'm not even going to go into that.
The nudity isn't the point. It's just there. And it's part of the episode.
Uh-huh.
Well, I don't.
Yeah.
Was the nudity the point of this episode?
No.
I mean, it was played for laughs for sure.
Yeah.
Which is funny because a lot of the time you see full frontal male nudity, it is played for laughs.
That is interesting.
So like it's always kind of like played for the same thing. Like, you know, you in a lot of movies, especially up until the last few years, when you saw a naked woman, it was literally just because it was like, hey, we got an action movie, we're gonna have a pair of tits in it.
It was
all
alluring.
right. Yeah. But then, you know, if there was ever a guy that showed his dick, it was like, you know, an embarrassing situation. Like,
I hope my pants fell down.
Yeah, or like your mom just walked in on you having sex, you know, or whatever, or jerking off, or whatever it was, or like, you know, I thought this girl wanted to have sex with me, so she went into the bathroom and I took all of my clothes off and I'm just standing here floppy. That's the other thing.
How I Met
like,
Your Mother.
dudes are always soft in these scenes, so it like plays even more to them being emasculated, right? And that's why it's funny, and that was kind of why, like, I feel like this part was in this movie.
So
or
if
in
we're
this,
gonna take
in this short story.
anything away from this episode, this short episode, is that Shane wants more rock hard dicks.
Yeah, well, I mean, but that's like kind of part of. Yes, but that's kind of part of it being played for laughs and not to be like sexualized, right?
Right, yeah.
It is like a guy being soft is automatically like emasculating in some way, right?
Which it
Because-
shouldn't be.
No,
but
it
that's
shouldn't
the way
be,
it's
but that's
played.
the way it's played, right? And that's like kind of how it has everything that I've ever seen where it's like that. except for like maybe like a post-coitus scene, you know,
Yeah.
where you maybe see both people naked.
Sure.
That's how it's played. And the only time you ever see a naked guy where it's supposed to be sexy, they're only shown from the top up or from the back.
You get the abs or the ass?
You get the abs in the chest, which is always shaven, or the ass.
Always.
Yeah.
Good point. So
It's
really,
just like an interesting thing. I don't really have an opinion on it or anything, but I just like, you know, things that I've noticed through, you know, 30 plus years of watching movies since, you know,
Yeah.
as long as I can remember, and, you know, the different ways that like different things have been played, and it's like always the same.
No, that is an interesting commentary. I think that's something that the industry probably needs to work on.
Yeah,
We
and
need
way
to
more
have-
than you expected to take away from this episode.
Exactly. See, you've turned me on it a little bit now.
Turned you on.
Well, that's another discussion.
Yeah, it is Wednesday.
But I also liked, as kind of like a final takeaway, I liked this guy's philosophy, Mr. Dvorak.
Yeah,
I liked his philosophy of anything I need will make its way to me.
yeah,
And I like how that's fulfilled within the same episode.
within the same second.
With he needs a lighter
Yeah,
and he gets a lighter.
yeah.
Like to him, that was his takeaway from the day is, shit, my lighter ran out. Oh, hey, this guy shows up with a shiny brand new one.
Yep. Yeah. I actually I really like this one. It obviously is, you know, not as amazing as the one before it, as Secret War. But which bothers me that it's called Secret War, because I have a lot of connotations built into that phrase.
Comic
That
books.
that has nothing to do with that. But whatever. It just like the title, I'm just like, oh yeah, it's called Secret War. Secret Wars. Not that, but still awesome. Okay. Anyway. But following that one, definitely, you know, there was a cap on how much I was gonna like this one.
Right.
Versus that one. So
Which is fair. But all
Yeah.
in all, it seems like you guys came away pretty positive from it.
yeah.
A lot
I really
more
liked
so
it.
than I did my first time.
Yeah, I think the only thing that I really didn't like was just like the lack of attention to detail with, you know, the firearm.
Yeah.
Which I mean, it's a super simple thing to get right, and it's super simple to miss. So,
Yeah.
and it's been done throughout the history of film. So, I don't usually hold it against them. The reason I held it against Ant-Man so hard is because it's a really simple thing
Yeah.
that like
It
could have
just
been
a gun change.
Yeah, it could have been easily fixed. There were people in the same scene and immediate scenes before and after that had guns that it would have worked with.
Yeah.
And they just were like, whatever, we filmed it with this, so somebody in post
We
has
gotta
to fix
fix
it.
it.
And it's like, you guys
Which
fucked
I
that up
actually
so hard.
really liked your arguments, both for it and against it in that episode.
Yeah.
Not to talk too much about our own content. But
Yeah, but
I really liked your arguments.
Yeah, I think that one is a way bigger thing, especially because it was a big moment, versus like this where it was just like, you know,
Very
he's just
minor
popping off a
detail.
couple rounds and then, you know, he happens to pop off one too many, which, you know, it's not hard to count to two, you know, when you're animating this, but, you know, sometimes, you know, you didn't graduate kindergarten.
All right, that was part 1 of Love, Death, and Robots. Check us back next time for part 2. And that's all, folks.